when we first started and the language model started coming out, the first thing Cargas really wanted to focus on was security, ensuring that our intellectual property was secured, our customer data was secured. So that was the first step. What are the security protocols and what are the rules we want to put in place so our employees are safe? Yeah. So we spent time training people, helping them understand, putting policies in place, which we actually recommend our clients now do this first. And then from there, because we did that, because people were trained, you really give them the freedom to find their own solutions. Hey, this is something I need to solve. How can I solve it with AI? And we kind of come from this innovative culture. So that really worked well for us.
People are sometimes tentative because they don't know if they're operating within the right guidelines.
Yes.
And if you start and do that first, people can just explore.
Yes. Well, especially when it comes to security, we talk a lot with our clients about this. They want to plug AI into something. Give me the good. We hear people and we say, give me the good AI stuff. Right? Well, there's a journey to that. And one of that is understanding your data and making sure your data is secure. So actually, when we plugged in some of our AI models internally to give people access, we tested it. Like, what's the CEO's salary? Like, just to test, can you get to what you're not supposed to get to? Yeah. Not that we expected anyone to be a bad actor, but to make sure that everyone felt that they were using it, just like you said, responsibly.
Love it. What about AI agents? How are you guys using AI agents?
Yeah, so this is really fascinating. Cargas, because we're a software publisher, we actually publish an ERP software specifically to the fuel delivery organization. Cool. So anyone who's delivering propane, if you think of propane tanks in rural communities, about 20% of the companies in the United States are using Cargas Energy to run their ERP platform, run their operations. So that was the first step for us, was actually building an agent that was specific to supporting. So they had built a really powerful knowledge base, and we were able to lay on top of that a tool for our internal team. And they reached into the knowledge base to answer questions, but we didn't stop there. So when you started getting technical tickets or multiple tickets passing through different hands to try to solve a problem, we used that AI agent to answer those questions, to summarize what was actually happening. Then they layered on deeper and gave it access to our other platforms that are part of the software development. From that point, they were able to say, oh yes, this is a known problem. These are the solutions. This is when it's actually supposed to be scheduled for a solution, which helped us answer our customers' questions faster.
That's amazing. How do you advise for customers who want to get started in AI? Like, what should they do to get started? Yes. And then do you think there's a set of skills or knowledge they need to be successful?
Well, let's start with kind of where to get started, right? So I think one of the first places is that security. Do you have those just kind of guidelines in place for team members? From there, I think it's really important to ensure that your data, and we're going to end up talking about this because when you're talking about AI, data is critical. Yeah. Like if your data is not clean, if it's not unified. Okay, so let's say it's clean, let's say it's unified. If you don't have the same definition for that piece of data, then what answers you're going to come up with have less meaning. So it's really the truth behind the data before you layer on the meaning to the data. So when we talk to our customers, we talk about number one, do you have security or you have those policies? But number two, what are you really trying to answer? What solutions are you trying to come up with? Then we can look at your data and we can say, hey, is this data clean? Is it unified? Is it congruent? Does everyone agree on it? And from there, you can build actual solutions. But until you build that foundation, it can be really challenging to come up with meaningful solutions.
It's music to my ears. Like I definitely, we see your AI is only as good as the data.
Yes.
It's about how powers it, and it's so important to have it clean.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, tell me a little bit more about how do you see that relationship between AI and unified data?
I think it has to go hand in hand. You can't say, oh, give me the good AI stuff without having this path. We call it pathway to AI heaven.
So great.
So you have to actually start with these foundational principles. And even as a company, as Cargas as a company, we're going through this journey to figure that out. And how do we layer this on to create meaning? And I think you cannot separate that. And one of the big journeys for us was, interestingly, the alignment of meaning around data. So, for example, sales qualified lead. A marketing team may have a definition of what the criteria is. The sales team has a definition for the criteria. Leadership might have a different definition. So with those different definitions, are you really making the same decisions? Are you making good decisions? There's an author who says, decisions made on bad data are just bad decisions. You don't know it yet. Like, you've got to have that data clean. You've got to have it ready to go to support your initiatives.
Your customers ask you for the good stuff.
Yeah.
How do you go about educating them or kind of empowering them? Like, do you do a set of things or what's the approach?
Yes. I think for us as a consultancy, it's really asking those questions of what are you trying to solve?
Right.
Going in and understanding some of the processes. I think AI is incredibly powerful, especially to get started on simple applications and anything that has a lot of natural language models in it. So think of emails back and forth between salespeople, service request tickets. If you have a knowledge base, plugging it into that. So plugging it into the solid data sets that you have. Where do you have really robust data? And where is it taking your team a long time to solve a problem? Those are great places to start. So that's what our approach is, kind of looking with our customer base and saying, hey, these are really straightforward things that you can do. So when we implement HubSpot for our clients, we actually have it a part of the entire process of implementation. Right now that you have this, now that we know this about you, you can actually, these are the things we think you can actually get a lot of value at. And this is something that's really powerful with HubSpot. We've appreciated was the very practical application. It's not an ethereal, oh, you should have something AI. It's saying, well, here's a specific solution that you can use to solve a problem. So when you think about unified, I love what you're saying is like, we've got to get our customers, we've got to get our businesses into a unified data set and all agree on the thing. What decisions? So we like to focus on the decision making because we also, if you say, what data do you want?
They don't know.
They everything.
Right.
Oh, I need all the data. No, what are you going to do with all the data? And it's expensive and it's time consuming. And then you're overwhelmed and then you don't use the system because it's clunky or it lags because you're trying to pull all this data set in. So what we start with is, what are you trying to understand? What decision do you need to make to run your business better? What reports are you looking at every single day? Yeah. So really start with that practical and then dig into it. Okay, let's pull that back. Why do you do that in Excel right now? Why does it take 2 financial analysts to pull this data together for you? Well, it's in these different places or we don't have these certain things defined. And then it comes to that definition. And then you just kind of go deeper and deeper into it to come up with what this is the model that we're going to build for you.
You know, related to AI adoption and like helping customers, there's a Gemba workshops.
Yes.
It comes from factory floor.
Yes.
And so as people are, AI is all this hype, actually getting down to the details, seeing how it's built, what's happening on the teams, how adoption is happening.
Yes.
I love taking that from
and sometimes I'll talk to manufacturers and say, think of AI, because it's kind of this ethereal, like it's the magic box. And we'll think of it as really complicated workflows that you can build with natural language. To help people kind of think through, this isn't some magic in a box woo-woo. It's not the woo-woo. It's actually something really practical and powerful that you're familiar with. It's just doing it in a different way. And sometimes when we think about agents specifically, people don't like, what's an agent? Well, just like a person you would hire to do a specific job, an agent is a tool that you will use to do a specific thing. One of the things that people are concerned about is, how is AI going to change my job? How is it going to change my business? And what I find is that we're seeing clients do more with the teams that they have. So we kind of say like do more with less. And it's beyond that, it's really do more with what I have.
Right.
So is it really scalable to double your inside sales team because they're having to manually enter orders? Not really. And they don't really want to manually enter orders.
No.
They want to help their clients. They want to have a conversation. They want to build a relationship. They want to help them find better solutions. That's what your team wants to do. So leverage AI to do some of the things that people don't want to do anyway.
Do more with what you have makes me think of unstructured data. Because even in a CRM, you have so much, 80% of unstructured data. Emails, calls, PDFs, quotes, and like that's all in a black box.
Yes.
So do you help customers or partners, or how do you think about unstructured data?
Absolutely. I think this is one of the areas where you can get a lot of inertia and you get a lot of adoption. Using Copilot, for example, and HubSpot, immediately you can see this. You just pull your data in there. So when it's unstructured, that's where AI can really excel because it's taking that unstructured data and doing something really meaningful with it, summarizing it for you, giving you ideas on what to do for your next step. So that's where we start with a lot of clients.
I love that. Yeah, no, that's how we think about it with Breeze. Breeze needs to have the intelligence and the context.
Yes.
And it comes from understanding structured, unstructured. Copilot needs to know.
Right.
And then agents need to know context as they work on things.
Absolutely. Well, and it has to be there. So that is one of the journeys of adoption. So if you're saying, hey, I'm going to put all my sales team into HubSpot and they use Copilot and it's great, but I don't have good adoption, that's another challenge. But you can also leverage Breeze and Copilot to make their jobs easier and seamless. Salespeople want to sell. They want to be engaged with their clients. We'll leverage AI to help them do that better and to give them tips and to help them understand their client better and what steps they need to take. And they don't have to remember all the things in the notebook and the thing. Oh, they've got it right there, and it makes their lives easier. They're good. Trust me, they're going to say thank you.
I love when we were talking about how do you help people know what data they need? Decisions.
Yes, decisions.
Just like humans, like what is the decision you're trying to get to? Well, start with that.
What's keeping your business? Do you have a business growth that's not happening? Do you have a challenge? Like, we don't understand why this particular thing is dropping off, or we don't understand these trends. Well, that's some things that you can use AI to help you figure out, or dashboard or reporting or pulling new data sets in or looking at data in a different way.
Cargas Systems has really extensive experience in integrating systems. What are your biggest considerations to HubSpot customers that are looking for an integrated, unified data solution?
Yes. Well, we love the fact that HubSpot is on the customer side, a unified data set. This is something that's definitely a market differentiator. At the same time, you still need ERP systems, and you might need other operational systems that you've got to plug in, and you want to see that data come together. We talk to our clients about 3 different kind of ideas when it comes to putting data together and integrating. One is visualization. Do I need to make a decision on the data, or do I just need to see it? For example, my customer service team just needs to know if inventory is in stock. Well, that's just a visualization of some information that we can keep all in unique systems. And then when we think about integration, we say we need to take an action on that integration. We need to take an action on that data set that comes in and trigger a workflow. And then you come to the true data lake, data warehouse. And we do have clients that say, no, I need all of this data in one place so I can unify it. What's brilliant about working with HubSpot is they've already got that customer data set so clean. The attribution can be very clean. How I'm talking to my customers, the way I'm supporting my customers, it can be very unified. So pulling that into larger data models is way easier than it is with other solutions.
What are the most common challenges people have? What are the most common data challenges they have?
I think a lot of it is around your different systems having similar data sets, but being maybe different meaning. So it could be everything from spelling things differently. We have some ERP platforms will have 5-digit zip code instead of the 9-digit zip code, or the timestamps are at different timestamps. There's no flexibility. So it's funny in that they always say the devil's in the details. It really tends to be that, which is why sometimes creating an external unified solution can be a good answer to a problem, but not necessarily the first pathway you want to take.
We recently launched this report with IDC that the $30 billion opportunity in the HubSpot ecosystem. Why did you decide to build for HubSpot? What excites you about the future?
Oh, yes. It's really fascinating. So when we first launched our HubSpot practice, it was specific to marketing solutions because HubSpot's just got by far the best marketing solution on the market as far as we're concerned. And so we launched it with that in mind. And as HubSpot continued to grow, we continue to grow with that and said, really, these have got powerful solutions that solve a lot of our customers' problems. It's straightforward. It's easy to implement. The user interface is so intuitive. So this is really excited us because you see segments of the industry where they're still on really old, sometimes DOS-based platforms, and they're trying to upgrade, and putting in something new and huge and cumbersome isn't realistic. So being able to come to them with a solution like HubSpot to say, this is going to solve your problem. And oh, by the way, your team's going to use it.
Yeah.
They're going to love it. They're going to love it. It's going to make sense to them. That's very exciting for us.
We see HubSpot as almost like we've had 3 really distinct chapters in our history. Yeah. The first chapter was really around inbound marketing. And so we became this amazing marketing automation company. The second chapter was around CRM. And the key was that we wanted to have a unified view and a unified picture across all roles and all teams. And this third chapter is really, how do you use AI for growth?
Right.
What advice would you have for partners who are starting or learning how to become AI first?
Use it yourself first. Solve your challenges. Identify those challenges. Clean your data first. And that sometimes we have to live, we have to take our own medicine sometimes. So take your own medicine and work on your data, clean it up, and then start using it. Solve your own challenges. Because the reality is most business has really similar challenges, right? We're all trying to go to market. We're all trying to make those motions. We're all trying to do more with less. So use it to solve those things for yourself. Then create that structured learning for your clients, because you know your customers.
Yeah.
You know them.
Yeah.
Solve their problems.
How do you see your role changing as just a partner in the AI era?
Yeah, we find that we end up more in business consulting, which is really fascinating. So it's not just about we're experts in this software, we'll tell you how to use it. We need to help be experts in your business. So we have this industry expertise in these segments. How can we use that to better help you use the software? In fact, we have clients asking for that. I want to know what other people in this industry are doing. Help us learn. And so facilitating those conversations is a big part of what we're finding ourselves getting into, is creating that community for our clients.
That's cool. How do you stay up to date, or how do you learn in these deep verticals?
Oh, yes. So in deep verticals, sometimes, all right, let's just be honest, just being really honest. Sometimes you fall into them, right? Sometimes you get this great client and you're like, wow, we've learned so much from them. We love working with them. And then we get another one and another one. So sometimes you fall into it. In some areas, we've actually focused on it because we solved something that was so unique for a segment that we've said this vertical is really a niche that we know that we can support. In other instances, we've gone after it because of the area that we're in, or the geography that we're targeting, or the adjacencies that we see. And in those, it creates power because we're able to help create that community for those businesses. And it really has created meaning for our clients.
That's awesome. Well, it's so great to have you as a partner in an ecosystem.